Those things. I had always said sculpture's something which you're outside of. I thought, well, why does it have to be? Why can't you be inside it?
But this is fun, isn't it? This is almost a game, isn't it?
Yes, something like. And a lot of sculpture's a game. A lot of art's a game, you know, to be enjoyed.
Game without rules. Game where the rules you make up as you go along. Breaking rules again.
Well, something like that. I mean, I think the word breaking rules, I think that, you know, there were rules when I was young, and I think that some of those got broken. Then I think I made my own rules and I tried to break them. I think you've got to take risks. I think you've got to surprise yourself as well as the audience. You've got to surprise yourself.
Sir Anthony, where did your interest start? Because you looked at sculpture at school, didn't you, at Charterhouse, when you were there? That was when you first seemed to get attached to the subject.
Not much. I think actually my housemaster lent me a book called Lust for Life, which was all about Van Gogh. And I thought that was great, you know, apart from the fact he committed suicide. I think that it was quite a life, you know.
It's a big downer, isn't it?
Yes. That drama was enough to, I mean, you know, that was just a romantic sort of thinking about art. And I think that started me looking at art. My parents weren't terribly involved in looking at art.
Did they look down on it slightly, or you didn't get much support from them in the end?
I did in the end. In the end, I did, but.
There was this talk of a proper job, wasn't there?
Absolutely was, because...
which they didn't seem to think sculpture was.
Well, is it? Like, I mean, there are certain... You see, actually, if you lived in Barcelona, it would be thought the highest praise that you were an artist, or a sculptor, or a trumpeter. Think of... If your daughter was going to marry somebody who said he was a poet, it would make you nervous, wouldn't it?
Probably not.
Oh, well, good for you is all I can say. Good for you. But it is the sort of worry. It was the sort of bourgeois worry that all parents had in those days.
You went to Cambridge and you studied engineering there, and that was during the war.
Yes, that was my father's wish that I did something proper, and then I went and did that, yes, and went in the Navy afterwards. Yeah.
Went in the Navy as a flyer,
yes,
actually?
Yes.
Was the end of the year?
No, as an engineer mainly.
And then you came out, and you had decided by then that this was really what you wanted to do, hadn't you?
Well, I decided and kept saying it, and finally my parents said, well, if that's what you want to do, you better do it. But my father did actually take me to see a sculptor who told me that I would never be any good.
This was St. Martin's?
My father was rather pleased at that. Yes, he was at St. Martin's. But it had no effect anyway.
Didn't put you off, did it?
I was going to do it. But I did decide, I think, because of that I had got to do it properly. And I mustn't be a dilettante. It was one thing my father always used that word, dilettante. Don't be a dilettante. Well, I wasn't going to be a dilettante, and for that reason I took it seriously. I said, I've got to do this well.
You didn't have a sort of romantic approach to it. It wasn't the life, a romantic life that attracted you.
Well, as I say, when I read Lust for Life, yes, I think when at the age of 14 or 15, yes, it was the romantic life. But I think that after that, no, I thought I really enjoy making this. I enjoy doing this thing. You know?
And then you knocked on Henry Moore's door, and he said, go away and come back in 6 months' time, which you did.
Yes, I did,
What was it like when you came back after 6 months?
Oh, he was great. He was great. He was a wonderful teacher and a very kind man, and I was very lucky because he could see that I really cared about sculpture. So he used to talk a lot about art, and he'd say, "Drive me into London, Tony," and I would say, "Okay, come on, Charles." He said, he'd call me, you know, like the chauffeur. "Come on, Charles, is the car ready?" You know, and we'd get in the car, and then we'd start saying, "Now tell me, if you had to